30-day live weekly webinar. My name is Vanessa Simpkins, and you are in the right place today. We have an amazing presentation for you, how to supercharge your manifesting skills using the law of attraction and science. What does science have to do with it? And today you are all being joined by my amazing guest, Karen Connolly, who's a mindset mentor, trainer. She is a workshop leader. She's done amazing work in Uganda, and she's a scientist. So she's really going to share with us the science behind why the law of attraction works and how to get it to work for you, even if you've struggled with it in the past. So if you are new to the law of attraction, you're in the right place. If you've been using it for some time, you are in the right place. And each week, this week and each week, we cover on this webinar money, mindset, marketing, and manifesting tips to help you prosper and grow your business. If you're new to business, if you're a seasoned business owner, welcome. We're so happy to have you. And welcome, Karen.
Hi, Vanessa.
Hi. I'm so happy that you're here. And I want to do a quick, just a really quick tech check, make sure that everyone can see us and hear us. So would everyone just type in your name and the city that you live in into the chat box? Just let us know that you can hear both Karen and I, because I know Karen wants to jump right in. She's got a ton of great content for you all today. And we want to get started with that right away, but I just want to make sure you can hear us. So in the chat box, name and where you're from. And I'm going to have a little, sip of my green smoothie today while I do that. Hopefully no little green bits are going to get stuck in my teeth. I always worry about that. I'm like, oh my God, what happens if I get like a green tooth booger and I like keep going and anyways, good intentions. Okay, Joanne Rose, yes. Sharita from Houston, yes, we can hear you. Awesome. Okay, so let's begin. Karen, I'm just going to give you the whole controls and let you rock and roll with it. So welcome everyone, and welcome Karen. The floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Vanessa, for inviting me to your webinar series. It's so exciting. And thank you for registering if you've registered. And I have a lot of cool, mind-expanding, interesting scientific stuff that I have found really helps to get your head around using law of attraction. So I will jump in with my slides when I figure out how to get them on.
Yeah. And while Karen's doing the slide, I encourage you all as you're listening in today, if you have any questions, please do go ahead and post them in the chat room. And another little caveat, use this time. We have the next hour to be together where you can ask us any questions you want. So we want to hear them. Go ahead and type them in the chat box at any time. I'll be moderating it. And Karen, we can see your slides, so you're good to go.
Awesome, cool. So yes, supercharge your manifestation skills using science. And so science and things like the law of attraction and manifestation, these spiritual type things, people tend to think they're mutually exclusive, but really science is beginning to catch up with what the Eastern philosophies and some of the Western traditions have always said. And so if you're on this webinar, then you may have been struggling to get the law of attraction to work for you. Maybe you have managed to get it to work for you, but you just want to boost that, boost your abilities, supercharge what you're already doing. And maybe it's brand new to you and you struggle to get your logical part of your brain around how it could actually work. And so this webinar will give you some scientific research to help get that logical part of your brain feeling a bit more comfortable and familiar with the law of attraction and some of the manifestation techniques that get used to use the law of attraction. So yeah, as I said, this webinar will give you some science and also some manifestation techniques to step you to your success. So today in this webinar, you will learn the best technique to make sure your intentions materialize quickly. 3 keys to alter the world around you and manifest what you want, and scientific evidence behind this interconnected consciousness, which is really the basis of how the law of attraction works and how you can get this to boost your manifestation skills. So a little bit about me, as Vanessa said, I'm a mindset coach and speaker. You can find me at facebook.com/mindsetmastery with Karen. And really, I started my path on mindset and mental well-being because I started off not being so mentally well. I've diagnosed with OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, depression, anxiety, I had low self-esteem. And really I wanted to meet these challenges, not going down the conventional path. I did try that in my life, but I found for me, it wasn't something lasting and sustainable. These things kept coming back. So I tried a more holistic approach, tried different mindset techniques, NLP, EFT, Reiki, shamanism, meditation, firewalking, and inadvertently along the way I learned about what the rules of the law of attraction are and how manifestation actually works. And on the other side of this, when all this sort of maybe woo-woo stuff people might call it, I'm also a very scientifically minded person. I've spent most of my adult life at university. I've got 3 degrees in 3 different subjects. Never really made up my mind what I wanted to do. But what I've found is that I do enjoy science now, but it's steered more towards how this backs up the law of attraction and manifestation and miracles and sort of the more paranormal stuff that science usually shies away from because it can't really explain it without a few scientists getting their knickers in a twist about breaking the rules of what we previously assumed to be true about life and reality.
Karen, I love your accent, and I love that you talk about your knickers. I just want to. Yeah. I do. I seriously love it, and I also want to let you know that I don't know if you changed the viewing of your slides, but they got smaller. We can still see them.
Okay.
Yeah, but they were a little bit bigger before. There you go. Yeah, they're bigger now. Yep. Good.
Cool. So yeah, if you have trouble understanding some things I say, please type it in the chat box. I went on a trip with a lot of Americans recently, and there was a lot of language barrier. I don't know if you call it language barrier, but there was a lot of confusion about English and American English, British English. So please let me know if you don't understand.
You're real English, and you're English from Scottish English, right?
Oh yeah. Plus you've got the Scottish accent, so let me know if you can't understand me. So as I said, when I was diagnosed with clinical depression and obsessive compulsive disorder when I was 10, and the OCD that I had was I was scared of germs, and I was scared of being contaminated by germs, and I'd avoid touching everything, or have to wash my hands or spray disinfectant on myself and my belongings, and quarantine myself from the world really. And I couldn't even touch my parents, so they couldn't even comfort me with hugs, which would probably be even worse for them than it was for me. And it was a strange experience to have as a child because I didn't really know that wasn't normal. It was just my new reality, which wasn't the same as everyone else's, but it was really real to me. And over the years, I've had OCD and depression to more or less manageable degrees, but it's always lingered in the background and stopped me from doing certain things. And there's only been 2 serious episodes of OCD in my life. One when I was little, and that ended when I was, started to get better when I was 14 because I started to go on medication, pharmaceutical drugs. And that worked for a while, but then I got obsessive compulsive disorder again when I was 26. And it was just as bad as before. But this time I was more consciously aware that nothing was going to happen if I didn't wash my hands. I knew it didn't make any sense. I knew it wasn't going to hurt me. But when I had these thoughts and these emotions would come up, like wretchedness and despair and panic, and like the world was going to end unless I could wash my hands or disinfect myself. And giving into the compulsion makes it even worse, and then you have to do it more and more and more. So I decided that this wasn't going to be something I wanted to live with. It might pop up on me at any time in my life, and I decided I was going to cure it no matter how. Medications had side effects for me. I'd found out that from before, so I decided to go on a different path with it. And this is one of the few photos of that time in my life. And as you can see, literally, I couldn't do anything without I have got gloves on to protect myself. It's not a very flattering photo. My brother took it when I wasn't paying attention, so thank you, brother. But this is the only photo of that time period, really.
Oh my God, Karen, you're like totally opening up the window here, and I'm so thankful that you're being vulnerable and courageous with us here, because you know, to see where you were to where you are today now, it's just amazing, and it's so inspirational. You know, to taking yourself off of that automatic. Wow.
Yeah, well, I actually pulled this photo off of my brother's Facebook, so thank you for putting that on Facebook. So, but yeah, so then I turned to more spirituality stuff, and here are some photos of the things that I ended up doing. As I said, shamanism, Reiki, fire walking. That's just a way to go in a sweat lodge at the top. I was really committed to getting rid of this OCD. I was committed enough to sit in a dark, small tent with sweaty people next to me on the mud. That's how committed I was to getting rid of this fear of germs. And I learned a lot doing all this stuff. I learned about acceptance, about self-compassion and love, and letting go, about my internal vibration, about intention, about all these things that I now know are the fundamental parts of using the law of attraction. But at the time, it was kind of like a boot camp for learning all these things without me even realizing why or what I was learning. And actually, the OCD is the best thing that ever happened to me. It caused me to confront my mind and not only just learn about the workings of my mind, but it also led me to learning about how the universe works and how to manifest. So when I did cure the OCD, this is I knew was my purpose, was to help other people to get over their fears and anxieties and learn to love themselves and go for what they actually really, really want in their life. And yeah, I did cure the OCD, and I completed my PhD, and I said, when I do that, I'm going to begin coaching. But instead, I let my insecurities and doubts and fears about my self-worth and all these kinds of things, I let them bully me into getting a normal job. One that it was a really good job that I did have until last year, but I knew there was more to life. Something was eating away at me, and I know that's because it wasn't my purpose. My purpose was to help people with their mindset and getting over their fears, and I was letting my own fears divert me into this nice, safe, comfortable job that I didn't enjoy and was eating away at my soul. So then it wasn't until an opportunity came along to travel, and travel was something I'd always wanted to do, but OCD did not allow me to travel in the way I'd wanted to. The way I wanted to was to go to different cultures, live with local families in their communities, live the way of life that they live, and also to be of service in some way. And this opportunity came along to help set up a women's resource center in Uganda. And not having the OCD anymore, I was like, I'm doing this. This has been a lifelong dream of mine. I never thought it was going to be possible. It's now possible. And I got on the phone with the person, and I thought we were building the center. I was a little bit concerned about being Scottish and being at the equator and working manual labor in the sun. It doesn't get very hot in Scotland at all. That was the main thing that worried and concerned me. When I got on the phone, she was like, no, we're not building it. We are fundraising $5,000, which is £3,300. And we are going to be making a curriculum for the center, like each individual volunteer. So I would make my own curriculum about, it turned out, confidence and leadership, ironically at the time. And yeah, we would then go out to Uganda and hold a workshop on our curriculums, and in front of all the local women that were helping to make the center, as well as the volunteers, and then speak at a big public event at the end of the week. And I immediately started to go into fear and doubt, and all my insecurities were coming up. I didn't even like being visible. I didn't particularly put myself out there in any way, either on social media or in real life, and I'd have to do that to fundraise that much money. I was scared people would judge me. I hated being in the limelight. I was scared I wouldn't be able to fundraise that much, that I would fail. I was scared that the curriculum I made wouldn't be good enough. I'd let women down. I wouldn't have enough time. I'd have to speak in public. It was all really scary and unachievable all of a sudden. But then I reminded myself that I'd lived my whole life in fear of germs, and I was just substituting one set of fears for another set of fears. And this was not going to be the reason that I was not going to go and live out this lifelong dream. So basically, one of the things I've learned from the law of attraction is I committed, and this is me with my signed form saying I'm fundraising this much money, I'm creating a curriculum. And so for the next 4 months, I knew if I committed to this, I would have to commit to overcoming my fears and mastering my emotions. And what I did was I asked the universe for help. And the next day I got that help, and that was by finding Vanessa, literally. And she helped give me different techniques and mindset exercises that really helped me to conquer these fears and emotions, and do so really, really quickly. And so this, for the next 4 months, this is what I did. And this is I like this little meme, but I would say actually 99% or 100% of the time, the only thing holding you back is all in your head.
Ain't that the truth? You know, we're our own worst enemy. And I love this picture too, of the horse just being tethered by a little plastic throwaway chair, right?
Yeah, totally. And I've seen it actually happen with little elephants. When they're babies, they're tied to something, they can't move, and then they grow up and they totally could demolish whatever they're standing next to, but they just don't realize their own power. And that's what we do as well. We just don't realize how powerful we are. So then this is all the stuff that manifested in like the space of 4 months. I've at the moment fundraised $4,000. I don't know what that's in pounds. But selling donuts I posted a video of me singing onto Facebook. Some of my friends didn't even know I sang because I was that scared of speaking in public. I did a sponsored Ministry of Silly Walks, which is a British thing you might not know. Basically, I just walked around like an idiot for a day, and a lot of people didn't know why I was doing stupid walking, but I really didn't care at that point. And even holding something like a barbecue, I hadn't to that point held even a birthday party because I was scared of rejection. I was scared of people not coming. So I'd never held organized a birthday party for myself. I was that scared of, being rejected or whatever the fear was. I had so much fears about everything. And then this was actually in Uganda, and I never felt fearful or stressed the whole time we were in Uganda. I felt really peaceful weeks before, during, and after. And this is me holding a workshop on pushing your comfort zones and breaking through self-limiting beliefs. This is an exercise I learned as a firewalk instructor, which is you break an arrow with your throat, which is not dangerous. It looks dangerous, but we all broke our arrows, and basically the arrow represents a self-limiting belief, and you're just focused on your goal on the board and moving through that. And then we also had the public event. 300 people turned up. That's me in my gomezi, but I kind of look more samurai somehow than Ugandan traditional dress. So there was 300 people there, and typically I would have to have a script and learn it. I just went in, spoke from the heart, didn't analyze what I said afterwards. I just felt really good about the whole experience. And so in 4 months, we went from that structure at the top where we did the leadership forum. In December, that's what the building looked like. So the fundraising has managed to get it to that stage. But everything in the 4 months previous to that changed for me too. I blitzed so many fears and insecurities, and I expanded so much, pushed past my comfort zone, and started doing my mindset coaching, which I dreamed of doing for years and years and years, and just never believed that I could. So, and now I'm here on this webinar with you, and I am combining these two sort of paths in my life, the science that I've been studying for years since school to through university, and then also all this law of attraction stuff I've been learning through experience, through all my mental illness problems and my anxiety and my self-esteem problems, and bringing them together. So as I said, if the logical part of your brain sort of gets in the way sometimes when you're trying to use the law of attraction, here is going to be some really cool, interesting science that will help get that part on board. And something to remember that's agreed upon by the whole scientific community is that everybody agrees that at a fundamental level, everything is vibration. So you may not know anything about science. You've probably heard of molecules, and they get smaller into atoms. They get smaller into electrons, protons, neutrons. When you go down to the very fundamental substance of these things, they are vibration. They are just frequency. They're just energy with a frequency and wavelength just vibrating about. Fundamentally, that everything in the universe is vibration. And this is agreed on by everybody. It's just strange that nobody then really thinks beyond what's the implications of this. Everyone just sort of agrees upon it and doesn't think, okay, well, if that's true, then things like the law of attraction and how we manifest are really influenced by this. And this sort of stuff gets poo-pooed by the majority of the scientific community, which is very interesting. So here is basically visualization, and this is the best way to manifest what you want in your life. And it's probably not going to be new information for you. People have been doing it for hundreds of years, and it's getting more and more popular. Athletes do it. It's talked about in The Secret, which everybody knows about. But if you've maybe used it in the past and you don't think it's working for you, or your brain feels resistant because surely taking action is going to get you more results than visualizing it. You do need to take action as well, by the way, but visualization consistently of your goal is also going to help you get there more quickly because of the law of attraction and the law of vibration. So some studies that can help you to your brain to stop resisting if you have any resistance to using visualization. There was one study, there's loads of studies like this, and here's just a couple of them. But there's a study done at Harvard University, and they asked one group of volunteers to do a simple combination of notes for 2 hours a day on 5 consecutive days, and they took a brain scan each day at the end of each day. And they asked another group of volunteers to play the notes in their mind. So not physically do anything, just imagine they are playing the piano and imagine the sounds that they would be hearing. So you may think that there wouldn't be any change to the people that imagined playing the piano compared to the people that actually played the piano. And the results are quite remarkable, really. So here on the left, you have, these are brain scans, and you have physical practice at the top and mental practice, which means the people that imagined underneath it. And the box on the side that says control, that just means the group of people that didn't do anything at all. They didn't imagine playing, they didn't actually play, they did nothing. So there's no change at all between day 1 and 5 of them doing nothing. Which
so look at that. I mean, this slide just shows you that what you imagine to be real is measured by the brain. It's the exact same thing. The brain can't tell the difference, can it?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, these brain scans showed that the brain just couldn't distinguish between physically doing it and imagining doing it. And
Karen, what would you say to people who have trouble visualizing? As I get this question a lot, and I don't know if any of the listeners or the viewers here have, but I get a lot of people telling me, well, what do I do if I have a trouble visualizing?
So you mean like actually imagining pictures, like thinking in pictures? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, here's someone tell me, I have a hard time visualizing. What do you suggest for people that have a hard time visualizing?
Yeah, well, this a lot of people, when I was doing shamanic practices, a lot of people would say, well, I'm not a very visual person. Like, you do something called journeying, which is kind of like a meditation, but you'll sort of see your guides and things like that. But a lot of people don't see, but what they would get is they would get a sense or like a feeling somewhere in their body, or they could smell. Some people can smell in the same way that other people can visualize, or hear. Like, they use their other senses, or just a sense, a feeling sense, to build up this picture. So they don't necessarily need to see it in their mind's eye. They can just have a sense really of what is going on. And yeah,
that's a good point, because some people are visual, some people are more kinesthetic, meaning it's more, you know, hearing, it's more touching. Some people are more auditory or hearing. So as long as you get a sense, your sensory, your nervous system is going to have that visual, let's say. That's a good tip.
Yeah, yeah. And also, like, I have to look into research. Actually, that's a good piece of research for me to look up next is, does the brain do better for visual people that imagine visually or people that imagine through their other senses? Is there actually a difference? I would imagine that it wouldn't be, but I haven't looked up the science yet. But yeah, because I know people who are not very visual, but they still get great results when they are doing visualization. Which, yeah, but yeah. So yes, this slide shows that the brain can't distinguish between real and imaginary. And as I said, there's loads of studies that show the same sort of thing. Another one was people a group of people flex their pinky for 15 minutes a day for 12 days. And the second group of people just imagined again. And what they found was they measured the strength of the pinky before and after. And the people that physically did the exercise with their pinkies increased the strength on average by 53%. And the people that imagined that they had been exercising their pinky, they increased their pinky strength on average 35%. So in that way, like, some skeptics say, oh, well, it wasn't as much as you physically did it, but it's still not 0%. You haven't actually lifted a finger. You've not done anything. You've just imagined that you are moving your finger and increase the strength by 35%.
Yeah, the power of the mind is amazing. It's absolutely fantastic.
Totally. So, and yeah, so another way that we know a lot about is the placebo effect. And so an example of that is when you're given a pill and it's a sugar pill, but you're told it relieves pain and then your migraine goes away. And this is the belief you have in the pill you've been given has taken the pain away. The pill has had nothing to do with it at all. It's just a sugar pill. And they've done studies on this as well. So this person here was given a placebo, but told they were given morphine for pain. And it's been found that somebody given morphine, they've done a brain scan, somebody who was given morphine and somebody who was given the placebo and expects that they're taking morphine. And the MRI scans, the brain scans, were almost identical. And the placebo person actually created endogenous opiates, which is the natural version of morphine. And this has been found with other studies. So anti-Parkinson's disease, people were injected with a saltwater injection, and they saw the same reduction in tremors. And they also produced dopamine in parts of the brain where Parkinson's patients don't produce dopamine, to about the same amount as the people that were given the actual drug. And also serotonin, which is what's deficient in people who are depressed, when somebody was given a placebo for 3 to 4 weeks, as well as somebody who's given the actual antidepressant.
So let me understand this, because sometimes big words screw me up a little bit. So what you're saying is that the mind is actually able to produce certain physical, endorphins and all these other things in the body when it thinks that that's what it's getting, even though it's getting saltwater injection, for example.
Yes.
So we are able, through the power of our belief, to create physical changes in our body that they can be measured now with science.
Yeah, totally. So 2 people, one person, the exactly same sugar pill, one person could be given it, told it's morphine, somebody else be given it, told it's antidepressant. And depending on what they were told it is, their brains will produce the chemical that they think should be. And the thing is, the people might not even know what is meant to be produced in their brain. Their brain just does it based on their belief.
Based on their belief. So your belief is everything. I like this science. I always say that, what you believe you can achieve.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, what we create what we believe, not what we want. And this is important because you can visualize all you want, but if you believe something that contradicts it, then you need to change that belief before you can start using visualization to help in manifesting. So
I
for
want
example,
to highlight this point that she's saying here. We create what we believe, not what we want. And what you just said was really powerful. I don't want people to skip over it. You know, you said you can't start visualizing what you want until you go in and check in on your beliefs. And I think that right there is key to success. And I just want to invite anyone, as you're listening in here, I'm so curious, what are your biggest challenges, questions with the law of attraction or in achieving your goals? Go ahead and type them into the chat box. We want to hear about them. You know, you're here, turn everything off, be here, be present, show up. I always say 90% of success is showing up. And you have both Karen and I here for the next hour. We want to know, what are you struggling with? What are your biggest challenges, maybe with visualization, with using the law of attraction, with creating new belief systems and patterns? We want to hear them. All right,
yes.
so I'm going to just let the chat go. And sorry, continue, Karen.
So for example, if you were you wanted a new partner in your life, but you didn't think you were worthy of love, then the belief will get in the way of you creating that, attracting that partner in your life. And so like the law of attraction and vibration doesn't judge you and say, oh no, I think you're worthy of that. All it does is respond. It responds to the vibration and the beliefs that you're sending out. And it doesn't discriminate whether you deserve it or not. It just responds. So visualization is really going to supercharge your ability to manifest, but there are really 3 key steps to be effective in your visualization. Oh, and I'd like to say, actually, if you've got, want to know more about breaking through fear, indecision, and self-doubt, and these are all manifestations of beliefs that don't serve you really, you can go to mindsetmasterytips.com and get a free audio recording all about how to break through that and achieve your goals in record time. So as I was saying, so the first point, which is quite obvious, of visualization is visualizing your goal. And this is done by so many athletes. Michael Phelps, who was the gold medal winner in Beijing World Olympics in 2008, he was doing a 400 meters medley race, and his goggles actually started leaking and he got water in them in the last 100 meters. And when he hit the end of the swimming pool, he didn't know if he'd won. He just heard cheering. He took his goggles off and he looked at the screen, and he had won the gold, and he'd also set a world record. And the commentator asked him afterwards, how are you feeling? And he said, exactly as I had imagined it. So he had visualized morning and night exactly what it would feel like in the water, how his body moved through the water. He had rehearsed everything. His body just automatically knew how to respond. And he'd even done this with situations such as his goggles leaking. He'd done it so many times and he was successful. That was his goal, to do this and be successful, that when it came to actually doing it, his body couldn't do anything else but be successful, because that's how he had imagined what was going to happen. And his brain didn't distinguish between real and imaginary. It was both the same. He was succeeding in his visualizations, and he succeeded in reality. It was all the same.
And I like what you share about that story, Karen, is that he visualized his end goal and he felt it, and he did it again and again and again and again and again. And then he won, and he said, of course, it's exactly how I imagine it would be. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally. So then the next important key is to emotionalize what you're feeling. And when we have a goal, what we're really wanting is, every goal has a feeling behind it. So if you want a pay rise at work, it will give you financial leeway, but it will give you a feeling of freedom, that you're not worried about bills or debts or whatever. Or if you want a partner in your life, it's really the feelings of love and acceptance that you want to have. So when you visualize, you really want to get into the feelings of why you want what you're really going after. And you want to visualize your goal, but you also want to feel what you would feel as if you had your goal. And there's an
I have a question. I have two questions. Sharitza is asking, my biggest question is just, am I doing it correctly? I think a lot of people have this question, you know, am I doing it right? How do her biggest challenge is not psyching herself out. So can you talk to that a bit, Karen? How do people know if they're, you know, emotionalizing it enough, or if they're visualizing it enough or correctly?
Well, I guess, well, the important thing to do is, if you're feeling like you're not sure if you're doing it or not, is automatically we go into beating ourselves up about it, and making us feel wrong about it. And really, it's like anything, it just takes practice. And sometimes you might be doing it and you feel like, yeah, I'm in the zone, this is totally working. And other times you might not be feeling it so much. And you can have that with anything in your life. You have off days and good days, and the same goes with your visualization. But yeah, if you if you feel the main points here are that you're seeing yourself achieve the goal, you're in the goal, you're visualizing from the goal. So for example, with the swimmer, he wasn't visualizing seeing himself swimming lengths, he was in the pool. This is something that I've had to train my brain to do. My brain kept wanting to snap into watching myself doing something. So I wasn't really in the goal. I was watching myself in the goal, but I wasn't being from the goal. So
this is a really good distinction. This is totally different. And I think when I visualize, I do a lot of it where I see myself instead of being in it. So that's really interesting. You're right. Think from the end in mind. Think from, see yourself like I feel wet in the pool, basically, right? Don't see yourself swimming laps, but how does it feel to be in the pool swimming laps? So thinking from the already achieved goal. Yeah, that's a good.
Yeah. And that's something that I struggle with. Like, I'll be visualizing, I suddenly realize I'm watching myself. I'm not seeing it out of we've got a show in the UK called Peep Show, and it's basically all filmed from the characters you see what they see. So the camera is their eyes. So it's kind of like, if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's not a naughty rude thing. It's just called Peep Show because it's like looking out of their peepers. If you get the chance to if you don't know what I'm talking about, then have a look on YouTube to see how they film it. But basically that's how you want to visualize. It's like how you, like if you're sitting wherever you're sitting now and you look about and you see the screen, you're visualizing. If you close your eyes, you're basically, if you were imagining yourself being here right now looking at your screen, it's basically visualizing exactly the same as if you've got your eyes open. So if you close your eyes and you just see what you see as if you had your eyes open, and you just put that into whatever situation, like whatever goal you want to achieve or whatever it is you want to have, you see it from your perspective. I think that's the words I was looking for.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, and yeah, that kind of comes on to the next point actually that I'll come to. But yeah, that's a really key point for visualizing. But also, if you feel like you're not sure if it's working or if you're doing it right, a lot of people get this with meditation as well. They're like, I don't know if I'm doing this right, and thoughts are coming in my head and they shouldn't be, and then they get annoyed at themselves. It's just really a learning curve, and it's practice. And the thing with visualization is ideally you'll do it first thing in the morning and last thing at night. So you do it a lot, and you're just training your mind, and you're just learning a new skill. So the more you do it, the better you'll become at it.
Yeah, I agree. Consistency is the key to success in my world. Yep.
Yeah. So they can measure the electromagnetic field of the heart and the brain. And the heart, the electrical part has 60 times greater in size than the mind, and the magnetic part is 5,000 times greater and can be measured up to 5 feet away. So it's really a powerful electromagnetic field that comes from our heart, which really backs up why we should feel, or not should, but why feeling the feelings when you visualize really helps to supercharge it and juice it up, because we're giving it more fuel to this visualization.
Wow, that's really interesting. 5,000 times more stronger than the mind is your electromagnetic field of your heart.
Yeah.
That's why feeling it is so powerful. I like that. Yeah. I'm going to put that here in the notes.
Oh, let's get those. Yeah, so yeah, our hearts and brains emit electromagnetic fields. And so, yeah, really, if you're conscious about what you're emitting on a daily basis, because the law of attraction and law of vibration, it's not just responding to, it's responding to you all the time. So even when you're unconsciously putting stuff out there, you're going to still be attracting stuff back. It doesn't switch off just because you're not consciously consciously thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the third key is have it in the now. So we kind of talked about that a little bit before. To feel as if you have your goal already and visualize from inside the goal. So it's in the present. It's not something that you're working to in the future. You're visualizing that you've already got your goal and you have it now, because if you keep the picture in the future, then your mind is keeping it at arm's length at some point in the future.
Yeah, that's true. It's, when I visualize, there's one of my favorite, affirmations is I am totally worthy and deserving of extreme wealth, joy, and romance. And I am open and receiving of God's, grace and ease in my life, or God's, all of God's grace in my life. And then I visualize myself. We have this big shower. It's a glass shower. And I just visualize myself, it's filled with money, right? And I open up the door and the money like files out into the, into the bathroom, and it kind of like flops out on the floor. And so like, it's now, it's in this house. It's now, it's here. You know what I mean? So I really like that point that you're sharing with people, to have it now.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's
Sarita also says, visualize in the now, not the future. Light bulb moment. Yeah. So that was a great tip. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and even if you, we often have a bit of resistance to our goals. Even if you're struggling to put it into the present, that having it now, what I found helpful to overcome that resistance is to actually visualize yourself some point in the future. So you've already achieved the goal. So you're looking back and thinking, oh, I've already achieved that. So if it's something that seems scary and you've got resistance about, it can be easier to even put yourself even further in the future, having achieved it in the past, rather than being in the having right now. And that also works really well.
Good tip. Yeah. Right. So it's like, that's like an afterthought. Like that's already happened. That's like 2001 or something.
Totally. Yeah. So a cool study about the brain not being, so what I was talking about, real and imaginary, the same kind of goes with time. The subconscious understanding that the mind has of time is not really the same as our linear one in the conscious. So these guys are representing a study also done at Harvard that asked some men who were in their 70s to act as if they were in 1959 at a center for 10 days. In the center, the decor was 1959. They played TV shows from 1959. They had to dress like it was 1959. Magazines, newspapers, music was all from that time. And they were only allowed to discuss current affairs and topics from 1959. So if they had children, they could only discuss them going to school or whatever, rather than them being grown-up adults with their own jobs. And they did measurements before and after, so height, finger length, strength, mental, cognition, like memory, eyesight. And basically after 10 days, some of the men had mentally and physiologically become younger by 25 years based on these measurements.
Wow, just by imagining and playing and acting as if. I think I'm gonna like break out my didn't you used to play this when you were a kid? You'd get all dressed up and put like jewelry on. I used to do this with my cousins. We'd all put high heels on. We used to pretend we were like, so much older, and it was like, what do you call this, dress up? And look at the scientific proof that these guys actually became younger by 25 years just by making pretend for, what was it, 10 days?
10 days, yeah. They immersed themselves. They were in the having of it. Well, they weren't even in the having of it now. They were in the having of their past, and they actually physically influenced their bodies just by living in the past for 10 days. So yeah,
That's
it gets
really
to
significant
understand.
proof right there. I just want to share that. That's really significant proof, because I think so many, we get so sensationalized and bombarded with all of these new things and new things and new things out there in the media, when it really just boils down to doing, a few things really well, which, like what you said, is visualizing, having it now, coming from the feeling of I have it now, emotionalizing it. And that those are the things that really work. I mean, people are able to change their gene structure, like change their actual age, and science can measure that just by imagining. Pretty powerful.
Yeah, the mind is so underrated how powerful it really is. It's awesome. So yeah, this little quote, everything is energy, and as we said, thoughts begin it, emotions amplify it, but don't forget, you do need to take some action to make things happen. It's the case of, you can use the law of attraction to manifest things more quickly and attract things into your life to make it more easier to get what you want. But you do need to take action to cement that this is the direction you're going in, and it will help this to come in more quickly.
And you know what I've thought of sometimes? Sometimes I wonder if the action isn't there just to make us believe that we're really doing it. Do you know what I mean? Like, the action is almost creating the belief, and then the belief is creating the experience.
Yeah, definitely.
Sometimes I wonder that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So so then the third point with the law of attraction, I'll quickly have to skim over as we're running out of time, but you're not a drop in the ocean, you are the ocean in a drop. And this is this idea that we are all connected on a number of levels. And this is how the law of attraction works, is this interconnection between everyone and everything. And this goes into the quantum world, and this is this weird study of subatomic particles. That's the smallest particles, like electrons and photons. They're little light particles. Basically, this guy in 1982 found that under certain circumstances, these small particles could communicate with each other regardless of the distance between them. And Einstein didn't like this, because it said that they were communicating with each other faster than the speed of light. And we all know Einstein loved this. Nothing breaks the speed of light. But if we look at it in a different perspective, and this guy, David Bohm, he believes that it doesn't say that they're communicating faster than the speed of light. He's saying that they are part of the same thing, that they are two parts of the same thing, and they're actually connected. And this goes into, if you thought the quantum world was weird, the holographic universe theory. And basically, what a hologram is, it's an object is photographed first by bathing it in light by a laser beam, and then a second laser beam is bounced off this first laser beam and reflected. And this results in an interference pattern. This just means the area where the laser beams cross over and commingle, and that's captured on film. And basically this film, this isn't a picture of the film, this is just ripples, but it'll sort of look like that. It's just a mess of lines and stuff. And it isn't until the film gets hit by another laser beam that you get a 3D hologram like that, which is pretty amazing, pretty cool. But you might not know about holograms. If I cut that head in half, I wouldn't have two halves of the head. I would actually have two whole images of the original. And if I cut each of those two whole images in half again, I would have four whole images of that original. And that would continue onwards and onwards. And in the same way as the guy was saying, well, the two particles, even though they're separated by distance, know what the other one is doing, is not because they're communicating with each other, but because they are actually two parts of the same whole, but they are still whole. It's a bit of I was going to use a rude word there, but I don't know what's the other word for a mind beep. Yeah, it's a bit mind, yeah. So yeah, and this feeds into this collective consciousness. We're all part of a whole. And I like to think of, like, say, the Hawaiian volcanic chain. You just see the little peaks sticking up through the water, and they all look separate, the different islands. But when you go down to the seabed, they're all connected to the earth. And I like to think of that as us as humans, like we each see ourselves as separate, but really we're all connected in this collective consciousness. And so, yeah, one way of, so I don't know if we've got time, because I've got 10 minutes. There's quite a lot of stuff still. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. Do you want me to keep going, or?
Yeah, continue. Absolutely. We've got about another 10 minutes.
Cool. Okay, so if we, to give an illustration so we can sort of bend our minds around this concept a little bit. If we've got a fish tank, but we don't see the fish tank directly, we can only see two TV screens connected to two cameras that are looking at the fish tank, and one is looking at the front and one is looking at the side. So we are just seeing two TV screens, and it looks like two separate entities, and that's because there's different angles looking into the fish tank. So it looks like there's two different fish. So for example, here's fish one, here's fish two. Ignore the second fish there, I can get a single fish. But so we're looking at this fish tank that has this one fish in it. This is just one fish, by the way. And it's only because we're looking at it through a camera. One is facing this end of the tank, one is looking at the side of the fish. So when this fish moves, this fish automatically moves as well, but it moves in a different direction because the camera is looking at a different angle. So it looks like we've got two fish that are moving at exactly the same time and know exactly when to move in unison with the other one. In the same way that the two particles separated know exactly what they're doing, even though they're separated by a distance. But the thing is that we are unaware when we're looking at these fish that we're actually looking at them through a camera. They are actually the same fish. It's just one camera's facing the side of the fish and one's facing the front. So it appears to us that they are connected somehow, even though they're two different fish. But really, they are the same fish. And it's this way that we don't have privy to this, some portion of reality that allows this connectedness to be seen. We see it as separate. Yeah, so there's something that we don't see in our reality. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist. There's evidence.
Electricity. You can't see electricity, but it's what runs, the house. It's what runs the computers that we work on. We don't see it, but we all know that it's there.
Yeah. So there's this separateness is an illusion, and it's really we're all interconnected. And using the law of attraction, which is all about vibration and the frequencies, it really fits this framework that, therefore, if it's all connected, then if I'm vibrating at a certain vibration, I'm going to draw in other vibrations that resonate with that because we're all interconnected.
Yep. And it really comes to personal responsibility. I mean, that point right there, we are attracting what we vibrate out. So it's paramount that we vibrate out, happiness and love and abundance and those kinds of things. If those are the kinds of things we want attracted back to us, right? Yeah, totally. And there's even further evidence that says our brains, the way it receives information through our eyes, acts in the same way as a hologram. So I think, because I have to skip over this, I think I'll do that. If anybody's interested, I'll do a webinar just on this holographic universe stuff, because this is the stuff I really love. This is like the really far out, crazy stuff. I can really go over it in a lot more detail, a lot more slowly. Because if it's the first time you've heard of it as well, it is. It's quite, even no matter how open-minded you are, it's still a little bit like, oh, how does what? But so they think that perhaps the mind works in the same way as a hologram. So basically we can tune into whatever channels we want. So you can tune into the abundance channel, the scarcity channel, the love fear channel. Basically think that if everything around us is a hologram, and like I said, before you shine a light onto the holographic film to see the 3D image, what you're seeing is that, next slide, this, what I call the super vibration. So if everything around us is actually just this super vibration, and there's something in our brain that decodes this information and makes a 3D structure, in the same way that we see a 3D structure made in the earlier slide, we shine a light on that film,
that super vibration. It makes a 3D structure. If the same thing happens in our brain, then we can see that to manifest from the super vibration is a lot easier to get our head around than trying to influence this solid 3D reality that we are seeing round about us right now. It's actually the opposite. The 3D reality is created in our brain, but what is actually going around us is something like this slide, this super vibration. But we just decode, our brains decode it in a different way. Yeah, so we'll leave you with that.
It sounds really interesting, and I think the viewers would love to go into it, you know, in greater detail in another time for a webinar. She just says, yes, please. So yeah, it sounds like it's a great topic.
Yes, it's not exactly something you can just skim across quickly, but yeah, sorry, try to do my best here.
Don't apologize. I'm a geek in all this stuff. I'm manifesting, marketing, money, mindset stuff. I love it all. So don't apologize.
Yeah. So yeah, even if maybe you take away from this holographic universe stuff, this image of this is actually what reality looks round about us. It's just our brain interprets the information, and there's science that backs this up. It's called a Fourier transform. It's used a lot in a lot of technologies. And they think that maybe the brain does a similar mathematical equation to create this 3D image in our head, rather than us seeing this super frequency and vibration and waves and things. So yeah, even this image could help you to get your head more around, I can use the law of attraction because it's this going on round about me, rather than me influencing solid reality.
So you're saying, I get it. You're saying that, you know, what we visualize in our mind is what's showing up in the outer world. So don't be so attached to the reality that we see in our physical world, because it's just a holograph. It's just
it's just a series of waves and vibrations, and it's a lot easier to think about influencing vibrations and waves than it is about thinking about influencing, like, me putting my hand through this solid table or this sort of thing.
I agree 1,000%. This reality that we see here, I mean, it feels physical, right? If you put our hand on the stove, it's hot. You know, if you're broke and you're sleeping on the street and it's raining, you're going to get wet. Like it's real. But that reality is simply just a conglomeration, an addition, a culmination of your previous thoughts. So if we want to, you know, change the field and influence it, we just have to think new thoughts. Yes.
And I love it when, like I said, spirituality and science are like beginning to talk the same language. Since everything is a reflection of our minds, everything can be changed by our minds, which fits perfectly into a holographic universe model. Yeah. And also, stop acting so small. You are the universe in ecstatic motion, and we are part of this vibration, the soup vibration. Because we are not a solid thing in the middle of the soup vibration. We are part of the soup vibration. We are part of it. So that is the webinar today. And I've got Lego here because I like to think of using the law of attraction as getting to a destination by walking over a plush carpet. That is using the law of attraction. You can achieve your goals more easily, more quickly, in a more miraculous way when you use the law of attraction. It is also possible to achieve your goals by not using the law of attraction. And I like to think of that as like walking on Lego bricks instead of choosing this plush carpet. It's probably going to be more painful. It's going to take longer. You're going to have more obstacles coming your way. So yeah, it's a decision. You can choose the easy way or the hard way, really.
It's a good, that's a good visual. I like that. It's true. Yeah. Nice, plushy, yummy carpet that feels yummy, or ouchy, painful, hopping through Lego.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, so as I said before, you do not manifest what you want, well, unless it's in alignment with your beliefs. You always manifest what you believe. And this is what has really become prevalent for me over the last year or so. It's like the final piece of the puzzle for using law of attraction. And I've been learned a lot of techniques that get rid of resistance, and about changing your beliefs and digging out what those beliefs are, and really getting out of your own way so you can manifest what you want. And too many of us are not living our dreams because we are living our fears. And I spent many years doing that. And even now, I'm come across sometimes something that scares me and it almost takes me out of the game, but I have enough tools and enough techniques to be able to realize that I want to be living my dreams. I'm not getting held back by my fears and these self-limiting beliefs anymore. There's not a choice. The only way is through them now. I'm not going to be turning back at all. So today, because I am so excited to be on this webinar, and it's really happy to be talking to all of your community. I have 5 spaces open in my calendar next week, so I'm offering a free 1-hour breakthrough session with me, and we can go through this resistance you have to your goals. If something's holding you back and you're not sure what, we can pinpoint what it is and get you a breakthrough in that. If you have beliefs that are holding you back, or you don't even know what beliefs are holding you back, but there's something there, we can work through this and get you a breakthrough in this session. And you just need to go to mindsetmasterywithkaren.com, and it's open to the first 5 people, the first 5 action takers, and you can book your breakthrough session in there with me. And also, if you want to find me on the net, again, it's at facebook.com/mindsetmasterywithkaren. And you can also get that audio there if you didn't get the free audio I said about breaking through your fears in the middle of the webinar, if you didn't catch the address for that as well.
Awesome, Karen, that's so generous of you. So again, we're just gonna double back, you can connect with Karen on her Facebook page. You're welcome to go and thank you so much for all of the amazing information that you've been sharing with us here. I love it. I'm a big believer that it's all about changing your mind, changing your thoughts, and watch the reality around you, show up and reflect that and mirror that. So this is a super generous offer, Karen. Thank you. And again, if you want to book a breakthrough session with Karen, it's free, and she's going to work with you for the next hour. Layla says, this was awesome, Karen. Thanks for sharing. I know Sharita and Joanne Rose are like, we want to know more about this holographic thing. They're like, yes, please do another webinar. So yeah, again, the website is mindsetmasterywithkaren.com.
Yes.
That will get, for the first 5 people, that'll get a free, Sharita says, many, many thanks. So mindsetmasterywithkaren.com, go ahead and apply there. Sharita says, I learned so much, so this is awesome. And again, if you want to connect with Karen, you can find her on Facebook. What's the Facebook page again?
Facebook.com/mindsetmasterywithkaren.
Awesome. Facebook.com/mindsetmasterywithkaren. And again, she's got an audio that you can listen to as well, which helps cement in some of the training that you've done here with us today. And that website is
mindsetmasterytips.com.
mindsetmasterytips.com. Awesome. So I am so, so grateful for you, Karen. Thank you again for being here, for sharing with us. I'm going to put the camera back on you. Thank you 1,000 times. And I want to thank all of the viewers and the listeners here for showing up. I always say that 90% of success is showing up. 90% is showing up. So, there's 1,000 different places everyone could have been today. You all chose to be here with us. I'm so happy and grateful, and look forward to seeing you all on the next webinar. Tune in next Tuesday. We have 10K in 30 Day Money, Mindset, Manifesting, and Marketing webinar, where every single week we do some cool things. We learn about new things, and we're here to answer questions for you. So I love everyone. Have a wonderful week. Karen, thank you 1,000 times. Big hugs and kisses, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.